Good morning. Welcome once again to the daily devotional to love as Jesus loved. In our last devotional, we looked at the importance of love as described to us from 1 Corinthians 13. In this morning's devotional, we're going to look at the characteristics of love as taught to us from 1 Corinthians 13. In our lesson this morning, we'll be looking at the characteristics of love as they're found in verses 4 through 7 of 1 Corinthians 13. Listen to what's said. Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself seemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Folks, that's a wonderful description of the many different characteristics of true love in our life. For this morning's devotional, I just wanted us to take a very, very quick glance at each one of those characteristics so that for sure we have a basic understanding of what those characteristics are talking about. Then, beginning in our devotional tomorrow, we'll be taking time to look at the way that Christ set the example for us by displaying each one of the characteristics in his life. Let's go down through real quickly. Here are some of the characteristics of love as found in 1 Corinthians 13 and what they're talking about. To suffer long simply means to be patient with others. To be kind means to be useful to others, even to those who we think might not deserve our help and our aid. To envieth not simply talks about not desiring the possessions of others. Vaunteth not itself means not to brag about ourselves or, to put ourselves up on a pedestal thinking we're better than others. Is not puffed up. That's very closely related. That means to not believe we are better than others. Doth not behave itself unseemly. In other words, we don't bring shame to others in public. Seeketh not her own. We do not live selfish lives. Is not easily provoked. That teaches us we should not get agitated. We shouldn't get irritated easily. We should be able to, in a sense, hold our tempers. Thinketh no evil. True love never plans evil to fall upon anyone, nor does it desire for evil to fall upon anyone. Rejoiceth not in iniquity. True love does not find joy when we see others falling into sin. Rejoiceth in the truth. True love finds joy in the truths of God's Word. We find joy within ourselves when we see a truth in God's Word, but also we're joyful for others who have come to a new truth in God's Word. Beareth all things. That means we're willing to put up with things in silence instead of complaining and moaning and groaning. Believeth all things. True love exercises faith and trust, first of all in the Lord, but also in others. Hopeth all things. True love thinks the best of others. We see the best in others when we truly love them. And finally, endureth all things. True love is willing to bear any burden necessary for an extended period of time for the sake of helping others. Folks, that's the characteristics we just seen listed in 1 Corinthians 13. Let me ask you, before we begin our study, I'm going to ask this question, and at the end I'll ask it again. Of this list, how often do we see these things on display in our life? It's going to show us whether love exists in our hearts, and if so, how strong that love is. Now, when we finish this series, I'm going to ask you that same question again. We're going down through this list, and I'm going to ask, how many of these do you now see in your life? And how regular are they in your life? And hopefully we'll be able to gauge maybe a certain amount of spiritual growth over the next month or two as we begin to look at the life of Christ and how he shows to us each one of these characteristics of love in his life through basically his actions and the examples that he sets for us. Thank you again for joining us in this daily devotional series. We'll continue on tomorrow. May the Lord bless you as you study his word.